It's Friday Eve, 6:06 a.m. We've got so much to get to today. I'm going to just dive right in. I'm going to dive right in. A Christian vet. He's a veteran, he's a Christian. He's charged with this hate crime for taking a patriotic stand, a biblical stand against this satanic statue that was in the Iowa Capitol. We talked about this here on the Buzz. And when this happened, I believe I said, "Huh, that's kind of interesting." They charged him with a misdemeanor. Usually, they attack Christians with I was shocked that they didn't slap him with some sort of felony for beheading the statue in Iowa's capital. And well, it turns out he is being charged with a hate crime now for beheading the satanic statue that was at the Iowa State Capitol. Originally, he was charged with some sort of misdemeanor. Now they're tacking on all kinds of hate crime charges. So we're going to get to that here on the Buzz. Below average, way below average, high school male sprinter who turned female, or is pretending to be female anyway, crushes two more college records competing against girls. I'm getting pretty sick and tired of this. We're going to talk about this male sprinter who's pretending to be a female, and he's crushed two more college records. This needs to end. And then we need to talk about an Illinois bill. This Illinois bill would limit how much cops could pull you over for, like limiting pullovers. And this bill is not expected to advance. So, yesterday on the show, I was telling you that this bill was introduced by a Chicago state representative. But it looks like this bill's not going to advance, but he hasn't rescinded the bill. Okay, so we'll have to see where this goes. All of this and more on the Morning Buzz. I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. I'm Kat Peterson, your radio host this morning. The left, they have suddenly started to care about statues, folks. Usually they want to take the statues down, and they're totally cool with taking down statues, but and this is no surprise. They care about the one statue, okay? They want to take down all the founding father statues, but this one they want to leave up, and they're really upset that somebody beheaded this statue at the Iowa State Capitol. It's a satanic statue, of course, and this should come as no surprise to you because everybody on the left are typically Satan worshipers. So a Christian vet, he's a veteran, he has been charged with a hate crime for beheading a satanic statue at the Iowa State Capitol. This is huge news, according to the Post Millennial. His name is Michael Cassidy. He's been charged with a hate crime for beheading the statue of Satan at the Iowa State Capitol. I don't even know why it was up there, but we'll get to that here in a second. Cassidy, he drove up to Iowa after the satanic display was erected in the state capitol, and he took it down. He's going to be arraigned on February 15th. Now, the Polk County prosecutors, they charged Cassidy with felony third-degree criminal mischief, saying that he acted in violation of individual rights under Iowa's hate crime statute. So Cassidy, he had originally been charged when I brought you this story a few months ago. He had originally been charged with a misdemeanor, fourth-degree criminal mischief. And I think I said, oh, it was totally worth it if you just got a misdemeanor, fourth-degree criminal mischief the day after the beheading happened. And he was informed, though, that there could be more charges. Now, I didn't think that they were going to tack on a felony for this guy, but he's got a felony now that he's got to deal with. So a spokesman for the Polk County Attorney's Office, Lynn Hicks, she said that evidence shows that the defendant made statements to law enforcement and the public indicating he destroyed the property because of the victim's religion. Oh, that's what resulted in the hate crime charges. So all of a sudden, I guess Satanism is a protected class. It is a protective class, folks. You cannot hate Satan. Otherwise, you will be charged with a felony. So, is this progressive prosecutor really trying to establish that hating Satan is supposed to be a crime? They're there is one reason why hate crimes they're so illogical. I don't know why we have criminalized hate. Okay, it's not criminal to hate something. I hate bugs. I hate uh, olives. I'm not a big olives person. Like, what's next? Are you going to put me in cuffs because I said that I hate bugs? Are bugs going to be a protective class in, you know, 2028 or something like that? This is one reason why hate crimes don't make any sense. You can't criminalize hate. We are supposed to hate evil. That statue that was in the Iowa Capitol was evil, but we are here to believe it's a crime to hate that statue. No, it's not a crime to hate that statue. The premise of establishing hate crimes is actually evil as well. They're trying to they're it's evil working. They are trying to say that you are not allowed to hate Satan, and we're supposed to hate Satan. Okay, so the Iowa Capitol had no right in the first place to put such an abhorrent statue up on public property. These people are painfully deranged, and Satan is everything opposite to God. So you cannot love Satan unless you hate God. So these people hate God. They put a statue up there. That's a hate crime. Okay. You hate my God enough to put a statue up that hates, like, Satan hates God, right? And you can't love Satan unless you hate God. So they committed the hate crime. Hating Satan is not a crime. Hating God is it shouldn't be a crime either. I'm not saying that, but if we're going to, I mean, none of this is surprising since Satan is the accuser of God's people. And we all know that they would have never let Christians put the statue up because that would have been, oh, that's just terrible. Yeah, but even if they did allow us to put some sort of statue up in the Iowa State Capitol, which they wouldn't, by the way, I think we all know how different this outcome would have been had had it been all reversed. Had somebody gone in there and say somebody put a statue of Jesus up there and some deranged leftist went in there and beheaded Jesus. Okay, I guarantee you they would not be facing some sort of felony hate crime charge, but this guy is. This is what Michael Casti said at the time when he beheaded the statue. He said, "My conscience is held captive to the word of God, not to bureaucratic decree. And so I acted." And he raised $84,000 for his legal defense on his Give, Send, Go. And Turning Point USA pledged $10,000 to help him. He spoke, Michael Casti spoke at the TPUSA America Fest in Phoenix this past December, and he said that the statue was an abomination. So he's currently facing, folks, 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison because he hated the statue. Okay. And he removed the statue. I mean, why don't we charge the deranged leftists for removing statues, defacing statues with this kind of stuff, with hate crimes and with felony criminal mischief? Oh, all right. I do want to get to this story, and then we're gonna take a quick break. But Camden Schreiner is his name, and he was floundering in 19th place as a high school sprinter. Okay, needing a change, he changed his gender. Now Camden turned into a she. She competes in college as he goes by the name now, Sadie Schreiner. And this brave and beautiful athlete is crushing all of the female records at the Rochester Institute of Technology. So there's this college, this guy, I mean, he was coming in 19th place as a high school sprinter in the male category, and now he changed his gender, and now his name is Sadie, and all of a sudden he starts crushing all of these female records. Okay. This fierce, brave, and beautiful competitor just crushed two more girls' running records, as reported by the girl sports activist Riley Gaines. She said this on Twitter: "The thing that never happens happened again." The left always claims, "Oh, that never happens. Men don't crush women in sports." Here we go. Here it is again happening. And the male, Sadie Camden Schreiner, broke two more women's collegiate records at the Rochester Institute of Technology. And Riley Gaines says women's records mean nothing if they're set by men. Yes. So if women don't start boycotting these competitions, this kind of stuff is never going to stop. Who cares about the donors? Who cares about the brand contracts? Who cares about competing? When the very same people will throw each female athlete under the bus the moment they've got a guy that they can prop up as, the brave and beautiful darling of the college or of the sport. Like, stop, boycott. Okay. And eventually, when they have no more females, it's just going to be male categories. And I would just say stop completely. And that's how you really stick it to them. The brand deals, the donors, it doesn't mean anything because these are the same people, the people giving you those contracts, those brand deals, the money to compete. They're going to throw you under the bus the moment a male comes along. Okay. And they're going to sponsor him and they're going to give him all of the brand contracts. So, Sadie Camden Schreiner has been breaking records since last December. The Rochester Institute of Technology was so excited they actually bragged about her on Instagram. Unable to keep up with the commentators, making sure Sadie got her roses for this brave and beautiful act of his of becoming a female and swimming on the girls' team. They were forced to turn the comment section off on the post on Instagram. So they boasted about Sadie on Instagram. People were upset and they had to shut the comments off the post. So not everyone is enamored by Sadie's skills of running fast for a girl. Okay, so libs of TikTok, they pointed this out about Camden. He only ranked 19th competing against boys. Okay, this guy sucked. Meet Camden, the male who just broke the women's 300-meter record at his college's women's track team. Okay, so he beat this record. Before he pretended to be a woman, he competed on the men's team in high school where he ranked 19th place. So you start to look at the numbers here, and somebody did this. They looked at the numbers, and had Sadie been forced to compete against male runners when he broke this 300-meter record? Now, there are some people in America, folks, who believe that if you're born a guy, that makes you a guy and you should play sports against other guys. There's some people who believe that. But had Sadie been forced to compete against male runners, instead of first place and instead of breaking this record, Sadie would have finished in 41st place out of 42 runners. Yes. So set aside this contentious debate for a second. Let's set this aside. There are those who believe in fairness and in reality, and others who feel women should calm down and lose gracefully. But you have to admit, folks, girls who were born guys have now decided uh, to be girls who were born guys and who have now decided to be girls, have done great things in 2023. So it's not just Camden, it's Soren Starkchessa. Okay, so he went from being ranked 172 as a male to becoming the fastest female sophomore in Maine. Yes. Now, 50-year-old Melody Weishart entered into a contest for 13 and 14-year-old girls, and he's a man, by the way. Well, a brave, beautiful woman. Right? But he finished third place in this contest that was for 13 and 14-year-old girls. That's a bronze medal. Unfortunately, we've seen dudes attempting to game the system without going through the trouble of being ladies. Okay, so I have seen, and I've got some examples here, where men brag about their distracting penises. This actually happened, and crushing a girl's skull with a field hockey ball to the face. Okay, so uh, like I said, this actually happened. A Massachusetts teen boy who does not he doesn't even go by she. He didn't change his name, nothing. He goes by he, but he claims he's non-binary and that he wants to play on the women's volleyball team. The girls' volleyball team. He's a teen boy. It's high school. He makes this very inappropriate comment to the opposing female player after the girls' volleyball game, and he this was a very heated match, and he looks at the girl and he says, "Did my penis distract you?" Yes. Opposing team fans booed the male team captain. So he's the team captain on this high school team, and he looks at one of the female players, the opposing female players, and he says, "Did my penis distract you?" Isn't that something? I mean, this guy doesn't even go by she. He didn't change his name, nothing. He's just a boy on a girl's team. And then another story. Here we have it. A high school athlete had her teeth knocked out in a high school field hockey game when the male player on the other team shot the ball in her face. The male player, he took the shot, taking a shot on goal. Instead, he nailed the female player in the face so hard that you could audibly hear the impact, and then her teeth got knocked out, and she immediately dropped to the ground, crying in pain. This was Swamp Scott, that's his name, last name, and he knocked her teeth out. And males are allowed to play on female teams in Massachusetts because of the Equal Play Act. There's something called the Equal Play Act. And this guy was caught smiling after he knocked this girl's teeth out. Something needs to be done. Okay, because at this point we don't even have, men pretending to be females playing on female teams. We have men who don't use different pronouns. And who smile when they knock women's teeth out on these teams, okay, and say inappropriate things like, "Did my penis distract you?" Okay? They're not even trying. The guy who knocked the girl's teeth out, he has full-blown sideburns. He's not even trying to pretend like a woman. He's just a man on a female team. All right. So I have to take a quick break. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you guys tuning in each and every day. We're going to be back in just about 5 minutes. Morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button. Ryan, you're exactly right. It's a two-tiered justice system. The sooner we realize that, the sooner the less disappointed we're going to be. This is a very disappointing story. A Christian veteran. He's been charged now with a hate crime. I don't know for what exactly, because here's the thing. Um, it's not a crime to hate Satan. I hate Satan, and what? Am I going to be put in cuffs and charged with, felony third-degree hate crime? I hate olives, I don't like, or I hate the cold weather. Like, this is the problem with hate crimes and implementing, hate crime law and things like that. It's just illogical. You can't criminalize hate. And Democrats, they tore down, they vandalized statues, and there were no arrests. They burned down courthouses and buildings, and they got bailed out. Yes, they got bailed out by people like Kamala Harris and by Democrats, by politicians. They actually got bailed out. So here we have, the opposite happening. Um, and look, folks, if the Christians were to put up some sort of statue in the Iowa State Capitol, and some sort of deranged leftist were to deface it or behead it like this fella did, this wouldn't even be the I guarantee you that Satanist or the deranged leftist who goes in and defaces the Christian statue doesn't even get cuffed. There's no charges, and the story just goes away. But no, of course, this guy gets charged with a hate crime. Of course. February 1st. Congrats if you made it through dry January or veganuary, which means you go vegan for the month of January, but it's just through January. So congrats if you made it. I did not do veganuary. Full disclosure, I did do a quick fast in the beginning of January, and wow, that was tough. I did do dry January. I made it all the way through the end. Oh, well, nope, I did have a glass of wine. Whoops. I didn't make it through dry January. Oopsie. No. So congrats if you did. I did do a quick fast. I feel like it really just jumpstarts the year for me, 2024, fasting, and then you couple that with prayer, and all of a sudden, all of these amazing things happen in your life. So I recommend prayer and fasting, especially at the beginning of the year. There's more in 2024, and I'm very excited for 2024. We are going to chat about this Illinois state lawmaker. He's out of Chicago, Justin Slaughter. He proposed this legislation that would have prevented cops from stopping cars for certain traffic violations, including speeding. So it was actually a really bad bill, to the point where Justin, the Democrat from Chicago, came out and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. It was too broad. We're not going to move forward with the bill, with a vote on the bill." But he's not rescinding the bill. So that's kind of interesting. We're going to chat about that here coming up in just a little bit. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. Like I said, it's February 1st, and it's Thursday. I want to do a good news story because the news is it's full of bad, and I think it's good to step away from the bad news and tell you about some good things that are going on. So Ross and Jade Dallas, they are from Glasgow, Scotland, along with their 2-year-old son Carter. They took a trip, a year-long trip to Asia. Now, one of their stops in October included, visiting, uh, Nepal, where they climbed, to the base, or climbed to a base camp of Mount Everest, which is 17,598 feet above sea level. So they went all the way up there. It was a base camp, Nepal, I think is what it's called, but it's on Mount Everest, and it's 17,000 feet above sea level. Ross and Jade, they hiked to the base with Carter on Ross's back. So their 2-year-old son, obviously the 2-year-old didn't hike all the way up there, right? But he's on the back. It's believed that at 2 years old, Carter is the youngest person to ever reach that base camp. So he's 2 years old and he's been 17,590 feet up into the air. That's very, very high. According to his proud father, Ross, Carter handled the adventure better than his mom, and he did. While Ross and Jade suffered some slight altitude sickness, Carter was absolutely fine. So Ross hopes people who learn about their adventures also are called to action. And he explained, we hope that we inspire people to go out and to see the real world, to just bask in all of the beautiful nature out there. Yes, I am obsessed with getting closer to heaven. I love, we've gone up into hot air balloons and mountains, and I just love I used to be afraid of heights, not anymore. Now all I can think about is getting up higher and higher and higher. And I say it's because I want to get closer and closer to heaven. But yeah, the mountains are incredible. Mount Everest, that is quite the hike. I've never been 17,590 feet up above sea level. Not even close. So cute story, a toddler becomes the youngest person ever to reach Mount Everest and this little base camp there. I don't think it's the top of Mount Everest. I think it's just a little camp. It's called Nepal. So I wanted to share that story with you. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Illinois and this bill that's not going to go forward. And then I do want to talk about how this leftist Vox, it's a news outlet, they're claiming that Americans are oddly obsessed with protein and that we need to cut back in the name of, you guessed it, climate change. Because of climate change, we have to cut back our protein intake, and that Americans are obsessed with protein intake. And look, folks, I don't think we're eating enough protein. So I'm going to come back. We're going to chat about that here on the Morning Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. A couple of your comments before we go, before we cut to break. I want to read a few of these. You can always text them in at 309-451-9299. Ryan, he says, Democrats, they tore down and vandalized statues and there were no arrests. They burned down courthouses and buildings and targets and they got bailed out. This is a two-tiered justice system. And of course, we're talking about that Christian veteran out of Iowa who went into the Iowa Capitol and beheaded a satanic statue. He was originally charged with misdemeanor, fourth-degree criminal mischief, but they upped the charges, okay? And they charged him with third degree. It's a felony criminal mischief, and they say that he committed some sort of hate crime or he violated an individual's rights under the Iowa hate crime statute. Hate crimes are stupid, okay? You can't criminalize hate. I'm back next. Good morning. Hey, if you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button. We're back in just a couple of minutes, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how the left hates board games now. Yes, because people on the left, they're so miserable, and misery loves company. And that's why they try to destroy everything that people love, especially if it brings families together and people together. They're not about that. Okay. So the left, they're trying to uh, destroy board games. They are targeting board games, and they're saying that board games uphold colonial narratives. What? Okay, that's next. People on the left, they're often miserable people, okay? And misery it demands company. Misery loves company, and that's why they try to destroy everything that people love. I talked about how Chuck Schumer is out there trying to ban zins and, especially if it brings families and people together. Zins bring young men together and they bond over their Zin pouches, okay? And the left hates that. They hate when people come together and they talk about something. And this is why they now are targeting board games. They hate board games. So leftists have a new target for their hate board games. They uphold colonial or narratives, the colonial narratives. Okay, so we're going to get to that area in just a little bit. I also do want to talk about how Vox, this is a leftist news outlet, and they claim that Americans are obsessed with protein and we should cut back on our protein intake because of you guessed it, climate change. So we're going to chat about that. But before we get into those stories, I do want to talk about this Illinois state rep because this was an interesting story, and it just goes to show you that if you speak up and you say something, you call your legislators, that actually is extremely beneficial and helpful. If you call your legislators, things can happen in the state of Illinois. I know you feel defeated. I know you feel like you can't make a difference, but you can by just picking up the phone and calling your legislators. And that's what happened in this story. So, an Illinois state lawmaker proposed legislation that would have prevented the cops from stopping cars for certain traffic violations, including speeding. Like, it was bad. This bill, he introduced it on Monday of this week, and if passed, cops weren't going to be able to, pull drivers over for failing to display things like license plates, registration stickers, expired stickers, improper lane usage, defective mirrors, bumpers, windshield wipers, excessive window tint, failure to wear a seatbelt, excessive exhaust, or speeding over the speed limit by 25 miles an hour. So if I was going 95 miles an hour on the highway, the speed limit's 70, the cops couldn't pull me over. Okay, that's insanity. At that rate, what's the point of even having what's the point of even having traffic codes or traffic laws? I mean, just let people drive the way they want then, and like let's just not have any traffic laws at all because that's essentially what this bill was doing. It was just saying, "Hey, we're not going to enforce any of the laws that we have regarding traffic." And this is evidence that Illinois has just devolved into complete chaos and crime and you know um it would also so this bill would also limit the evidence that can be used from traffic stops at trial. So it was a bad bill. And Justin Slaughter, he's a Democrat from Chicago. He's the guy who brought this up. Now, CBS 2, I guess, reached out to him for comment, but he didn't reply. Now, he did tell Capital Facts, this is a news outlet, that he wasn't planning to move forward with the bill or vote on the bill. Instead, he wants to have conversations about racial disparities in traffic stops. Oh boy, that's what this is about. Are you kidding me right now? I'm telling you right now, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I can't tell when people are, if you're speeding at 95 miles an hour on the highway, that cop who pulls you over, There is no way he can tell your race from within inside that vehicle if it's going at a top speed of 95 miles an hour. If you've got window tint, that is covering your entire front shield, there is no way I am going to be able to tell what race you are, as a cop. I can't. I mean, just think about how silly this is. You can't even tell that as a driver, somebody next to you in traffic. I can't tell the faces and make out the races of people. I don't pay attention to any of that. I'm focused on the road. Cops don't pay attention to it either. They're focused on that, I don't know what you call it, a speedometer. They're focused on, "Hey, is this person breaking the law? Hey, is that" I mean, in order to pick these things out and to pick out traffic violations and to say, "Hey, that person is violating traffic law," you've gotta be hyper fixated on what law they're breaking, okay? So, like, to find to see that a sticker is expired, you're really looking at the license plate. You're not looking at the person. You're looking at the plate, the tiny little sticker, okay? So anyway, so I want to talk about Justin Slaughter because this bill is not going to go forward. At least he's not going to vote on it, but he has not rescinded the bill. And this is the problem here. Okay, so he talks with the ISA. This is the Illinois Sheriff's Association executive director yesterday morning, and he says that Representative Slaughter is not moving forward with the bill. That's HB 4603 this session. This session. Okay. The bill was written significantly broader than he had intended. Okay, but nonetheless, he's not going to move forward with the bill this year. He did want to highlight that he wanted to give us, the ISA, Illinois Sheriff's Association, credit for him not calling the bill. Any future discussions we will be a part of. He took ownership of the issue and apologized for how this process was laid out. Okay, so much to unpack there. Who's writing your bills, dude? Like, really, who's writing your bills? Who's writing them, significantly broader than you intended? And why do they have the freedom to do that? Okay. And they have the freedom to just add whatever they want. Did you not look at the bill beforehand, before it went to committee? I mean, this has been in the news for at least a week now. Okay, this story, and he's just come out this past week, and he has said this, and then he made the call to the Illinois Sheriff's Association. Why didn't he come out last week and talk about this? So there's a lot here. I don't know who's writing your bills, dude, and I don't know why you're not reading them, but his constituents should make note of that. And Illinois, good on you because the people obviously called him about this bill and they were upset. And that makes a difference because he was pressured enough to call the ISA, the Illinois Sheriff's Association, and tell them that he wasn't going to move forward with the bill. But keep your eye out because he's not rescinding the bill. He's just saying that he's not moving forward with it this session. So we'll have to see what happens later down the road. All right, you're listening to the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9. I'll be right back. around. And yeah, the bill makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I'm glad he's not voting on it this year, but he didn't rescind it, folks. So keep an eye out. This is HB 4603. People called, they were upset about it. And it made a difference because he said he's not gonna be voting on this session, but what really concerned me was his whole, "Oh, it was much broader than I intended." Who's writing your bills? Like, you're a state legislator, dude, you should be writing, 1, your own bills, and if you have a team of people who write bills for you, why do they have the freedom, to just add whatever they want? Because this was a bill that was like, they just dreamed of what they could add, and they had so much liberty in adding all kinds of this nonsense where you can't pull people over for 25 miles over the speed limit, excessive window tint, defective mirrors. You can't pull people over for anything. So, yes, I do want to talk about this. We are doing a little giveaway. Cities 92.9, we love you, and we wanted to share our love with you, and love's in the air. We want to make your Valentine's Day extra special. Today's February 1st. So enjoy a room from the Marriott in Uptown Normal. That's Bloomington Normal Marriott, along with dinner at Jesse's Grill, located inside of the hotel, by the way. You get a couple of dozen roses from Forget Me Not Flowers, and you get this beautiful pendant from Bremer Jewelry. Okay, so this is an extra special night for your wifey, right? And you can just text the word love, LOVE, to 77,000. That's 77,000 for your chance to win. Let us be your Cupid, and you can win this Valentine's Day with Cities 92.9. Check it out on our website, all the details. That's cities99.com. So I will be right back. This is the Morning Buzz. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in, and we're going to be back. Smash that like button. I'm going to tell you about how the left hates board games. Yes, that is something that they hate. They hate everything that brings people together and families together. And we're going to also chat about how they think, Vox anyway, is claiming that Americans are obsessed with protein and that we need to decrease our protein intake. You guessed it, because of climate change. So we're going to chat about those and those two stories, and we'll be back here in the 7 o'clock hour. Smash that like button, share this out with your friends, and we will get back to that story. The Christian vet charged with a hate crime. Yes, a hate crime. He was originally charged with a misdemeanor, but he beheaded the statue in Iowa. It was a satanic statue, and he beheaded it. And they're saying that he committed some sort of felony hate crime. Look, this is the problem with hate crimes. You can't criminalize hate. You can't do it. It's illogical. It doesn't make any sense. I'm back. Good morning. The leftist news outlets, I say that I say that very liberally. The news outlet Vox, they're claiming that Americans are too obsessed with protein and that we should cut back in the name of climate change. Okay. Uh, yeah. People on the left, they're so miserable, and misery, they need company. Okay. And misery, it loves company, it needs company, and that's why they want to destroy everything people love, including protein. But they want to destroy things that bring families together, that bring people together. And that's why they are now saying they hate board games. So the 7 o'clock hour, it's about how the left hates everything that we love and hates everything that brings us joy. Okay, so a writer at Vox, his name is Kenny Torella, and he focuses on the future of meat. Okay, and he says that Americans are oddly obsessed with protein. But even if that is true, are we supposed to believe that that's a bad thing, that being obsessed with meat is a bad thing? So, according to Vox, quote, Americans are oddly obsessed with protein, consuming around twice the daily amount recommended in the federal dietary guidelines. Public health authorities design these recommendations with plenty of slack, meaning they're higher than what people actually need to ensure that they don't become protein deficient. But despite exceeding the recommended intake, 60% of US adults are trying to get even more of it into their diets. So a lot of Americans, a lot of US adults, they want to get even more and go above and beyond the recommendations from the federal dietary guidelines from these public health authorities. Okay. So food companies have taken notice, and they started adding things to or adding protein to things like pasta, chips, ice cream, crackers over the last decade. But this obsession could make us sick. Excessive protein consumption, especially from cholesterol rich animal based foods, is correlated with increased risk of cancer and heart disease. If so many Americans, by the way, are obsessed with protein, is it really odd? Wouldn't that be like the opposite of odd? If there are so many Americans that are obsessed with protein, then it wouldn't be odd. Then it would be normal, because there's so many people that like protein and are so-called obsessed with it. Uh, What's odd is the point of this article here done by our pal Kenny over at Vox. This writer is on the meat causes cancer bandwagon. And if you had any doubt about how foolish this person was, you probably don't anymore. Okay. When people go to great lengths to vilify meat so badly that they essentially claim it's killing you, That's how you know they're likely on the side of the people who are at the World Economic Forum or the World Health Organization, where they want you to eat crickets. Okay. And as if vegetarians and vegans don't get cancer. Vegetarians, vegans, they get cancer too. Okay. So meat causes cancer. It's foolish. And it, I'm gonna go on, in this article. He says, quote, "It's a problem for most Americans, especially men. One small informal study in the UK even found that some men who want to reduce their meat consumption are embarrassed to order vegetarian meals among male friends." Okay, first of all, they should be embarrassed if you're trying to go vegetarian. Second of all, some men some men in informal study. Did you grab 2 guys from the UK who feel embarrassed to order vegetarian meals? Okay. Like, I don't know what study you're talking about, but I does some men mean just 2 men from the UK? So the writer, he goes on about climate change, of course, and how cows are gonna make the sun blow up and all of that nonsense, and then he claims that Americans aren't getting enough fiber and that we should replace our protein with plants because, ironically, unlike meat, fiber decreases your risk of disease, according to this asinine reporter. I don't understand. Why believe these experts when they always change their minds and to get things wrong? Okay. It does not seem they have figured out this food pyramid, okay, that always changes. And, remember when they told us that to eat like 6 servings of grains a day? I remember they said this. They changed the food pyramid and they were like, "Yeah, you should eat 6 servings of grains a day." What a total joke. And then all of a sudden, subsequently, diabetes skyrocketed like crazy. So weird how for all of human history, people have eaten meat and they ate meat. And not only that, but vegetables were hardly consumed. But now produce intake is increasing, because, we've got produce in the grocery store, people get produce, yet Americans are getting sicker. So are we sure meat is to blame here? Um, with the track record of the bureaucratic experts, okay, these experts and their track record, I would not be surprised if you're better off doing the exact opposite of what they demand us to do. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying to go on to the carnivore diet. I am not a doctor by any means, but I think that you'd have better luck, and you'd probably feel better doing the exact opposite of what these bureaucratic experts are recommending you to do. Nearly 90% of vegetarians go back to eating meat. This is coming from somebody who had some health problems. I was a vegetarian for 2 years while I was in college, because everybody I knew was vegetarian, and I bought into the whole, eat eat vegetarian. It's good for you kind of thing. So was vegetarian for 2 years, and I had a plethora of health issues. The moment I started eating meat again, I felt better and my health issues got way better. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm just telling you my experience. And the chances of this radio host eating a burger shortly is extremely high, extremely high. I like my burgers. So the real problem in America, I think, is that Americans aren't eating enough protein, aren't eating enough meat. So take that, Vox. All right, I do want to talk about this. People on the left, they're very miserable. Excuse me, I got frogs in my throat. Folks, you can text the word love to 77,000. Before I get into the story, I got to tell you about this awesome Valentine's Day giveaway. Today is February 1st, and love is in the air. Cities 92.9, we are a big hearted radio station, and we want to share the love, and we want to make your Valentine's Day extra special. Enjoy a room from Bloomington Normal Marriott. It's in Uptown Normal. You get dinner at Jesse's Grill. And Jesse's Grill is located in the hotel, by the way. You get 2 dozen roses from Forget Me Not Flowers, and you get a stunning pendant from Bremer Jewelry. Just text the word love, LOVE, to 77,000 for your chance to win. Let us be your Cupid, and you can win this Valentine's Day with Cities 92.9. The hotel room may be used once. anytime through the month of February, by the way. So, uh, go ahead, read more details at cities929.com. Let's get into this story now. People on the left, like I said, they're miserable. And misery, it just loves company. Okay, misery loves company, and that's why they try to destroy everything people love, especially if it brings families and people together. Okay, they want the misery, they want the company, and they try to destroy things that bring people together. That's why they're now hating on board games. Yes, this is actually an article. It's out of The Conversation. It's a leftist piece, but they're talking about the death of Klaus Tuber. Now, he's the creator of a very popular board game called Catan. And he once recalled in an interview how the idea of how he created Catan began to percolate in 1963 as an 11-year-old boy in post war Germany. Okay, so according to Klaus, Catan was inspired by tales of Viking exploration, and it places players together on a remote island where they competitively collect and cultivate territory through resource extraction, trade, and expansion by building roads and settlements. Okay, so it's a really fun game. I've played it before. Catan. In interviews, Klaus, the game creator, said he created games in the 1980s to help deal with the stress of his dental career. So he's a dentist. He was dealing with the stress of his dental career, and he created this game. I developed games to escape. This was my own world I created. The Settlers of Catan was later renamed Catan in 2015. Okay, so it used to be called The Settlers of Catan. And then the article says this: it wasn't really Klaus's own world, it was a playable version of the American dream. The article goes on, it says ultimately, through a set of game mechanics and uh, mechanics that motivates resource extraction in the name of settling a supposed empty land. The connection between the in-game narrative and the political histories of North America and other parts of the world is clearer. A historian named Lorenzo Veracini says that the settlers of Catan is really about settler colonialism. God, there's that word again, colonialism. No, the settlers of Catan is not about settler colonialism. And even if it was, who really cares? It's literally a game. I don't know how many times I have to ask this, but please, please, can I get a list of things that are not racist? That would be so much, that'd be easier at this point. Can I get a list of things that aren't racist? Because now board games are racist because, it's all about colonialism, settler colonialism, this Catan game. It's like, come on. And this is not the first time the left uh, have suggested that board games promote colonialism. According to July 2023, this article from Campus Reform, it says that the Massachusetts Institute of Technology recommended a summer reading list of recent works from faculty and staff, features subjects like imperialism in board games, neoliberalism, queer Black womanhood, and climate change. Yeah, so colleges, they're having you read books called Imperialism in Board Games. Are you serious right now? According to that list, chess enforces social structures and chess, oh man, enforces social structures. What does that even mean? For the record, I love chess. I use a lot of chess examples here on the show. Um, it teaches you to lose with grace, okay? That's my favorite thing about the game of chess is you're supposed to put down your king when you know you're beat, and it shows you to lose with grace. I love chess, but anything that does not cause division is something that needs to be destroyed, okay? Anything that brings us together, like a simple board game like Catan, needs to be destroyed. Not only that, it has to be done in a way that rewrites history through efforts of vilifying Western culture. For the record, I do want to say this colonialism, probably the best thing that ever happened to America. Prior to the pilgrims coming here, they were cutting people's hearts out and sacrificing people to the sun gods. Okay, so probably best that Christianity came over here via the pilgrims. By the way, um, they were savages. They were cutting people's hearts open and lifting the hearts up to the skies for rain, for the sun gods or for the gods to provide rain. Like that's wild. Okay. Everybody knows that a board game can't do any of these things. But the left is so painfully stupid. They truly believe that these inanimate objects are evil, and they're often scared of invisible things that they can't describe. So, of course, they're worried that playing chess might lead to colonialism or colonial or colonization of their communities or whatever. I don't even understand how how people are this stupid and how can they function in the world? Do they actually function? Does this Vox writer actually function in the world? I don't even think it's possible. Even momentarily, think to even momentarily think that playing games might turn someone into some sort of colonizer is so asinine. I can't comprehend how these people even remember to breathe oxygen. Okay, so like to even think that the games are going to turn you into some sort of colonizer. I mean, for a second, how do you even remember to breathe? But the scariest part about all of this is that people like this vote. People like this vote. Make no mistake, that Vox Writer is out there voting. All right, I do have to take a quick break. You're listening to the Morning Buzz on Cities 92.9. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. We're going to be right back. Like I said, text the word love to 77,000. We're giving you a surprise Valentine's Day package. It's got dozen roses from Forget Me Not Flowers. You get a stay at the Bloomington Normal Marriott Hotel with dinner at Jesse's Grill, and you get a pendant from Bremer Jewelry. Text the word love to 77,000. Love to 77,000.
those heirloom seeds. Supply.com.
Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in each and every morning. I so do appreciate it. Go ahead and smash the like button and share this out with your friends. We're going to be coming back. I want to talk about that Christian vet who's charged with that hate crime in just a little bit, but I do have a fun story for you. You can crush a car and you can name the car after an X. So that's kind of interesting. Uh, this is a scrap car operator. His name is David. And he is running this place. It's called Scrap Car Comparison. And it's a site designated to get rid of junk cars. And you can actually name the vehicle after your ex, and then you can have it crushed into oblivion. That's pretty funny. So we're going to be back talking a little bit about that. Smash the like button, share this out with your friends. It's Thursday, Friday Eve. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 5 or 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm back next. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. You can always text in at 309-451-9299. Okay, here at Cities 92.9, I'm not much for hyperbole, but this is one of the most epic self own in history of politics. Like California governor, okay, Gavin Newsom, he asked a Target employee why she didn't do anything about a shoplifter while he was there paying for stuff. Okay, so he was there at this Target paying for stuff, and not knowing who her customer was, she said it's because of the governor's policies. Yes, this actually happened. So he asked to speak to the manager. Newsom unintentionally played himself on a Zoom forum. So we're gonna get this. We're gonna get to this story because I think it's hilarious. This is pretty epic. Um, she didn't know that he was there purchasing things, and he asked her, "Hey, why didn't you do anything about the shoplifter while he was there paying for stuff?" Not knowing who her customer was, she said that it's because the governor's policies. So the customer was actually Gavin Newsom. So we've got to get to the story. I'm going to explain it better here coming up in just a little bit. But first, I do want to talk about this because it's funny. And it's February 1st. And in spirit of Valentine's Day, we're going to talk about crushing a car for your ex. Yes. So, in keeping with the trend of getting back to, old flames for Valentine's Day, getting back with old flames for Valentine's Day. Earlier in the show, we were talking about how, for Valentine's Day, you tend to go back to your old flame, or you go back to your ex for Valentine's Day. Statistically, a lot of people do that. You can now crush your car in the name of your ex at this place. It's called Scrap Car Comparison. That's what it's called. Scrap Car Comparison. It's a site designed to get rid of your junk cars. And they're going to let you, like during this Valentine's Day, they will let you name a vehicle after your ex before having it crushed into oblivion. Yes. All you have to do is enter your former partner's name on a form on their website. And then what David, the operations manager there at the scrap car comparison place, he says, we hope by providing this unique form of closure, symbolically scrapping an ex, will help people leave their heartbreak behind for good. Those who decide to send their ex to the scrap or send their ex to the scrap heap will also get photographic evidence of their crushed car. So if you do this, then you get photographic evidence of the crushed car. And, would you send that photo to your ex and say, "Hey, I crushed a car?" Well, that would kind of defeat the purpose of, closure. I guess this is symbolic scrapping of an ex. But I found this hilarious. It's like, wait a second, they've gone to great lengths. It's a hilarious promotion, and yeah, Valentine's Day. Would you crush a car to get rid of or to symbolically scrap this ex and to move on past this heartbreak? That was an interesting story. We do have something here. I've been telling you all morning. Text the word love to 77,000 for your chance to win this room in Uptown Normal, Bloomington Normal Marriott, and you get dinner. You also get a dozen roses from Forget Me Not Flowers, couple dozen roses, and then you get this pendant from Bremer Jewelry. We want to be your Cupid. Text in the word love to 77,000 for your chance to win this Valentine's Day package. Okay, so when we come back, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Gavin Newsom. And he asks to speak to a manager when a Target employee blames the governor for shoplifting. So I think that this is hilarious. I'm not one for hyperbole, you know that. But this is probably the most epic self, like, self-own like, he got owned. He was I mean, I this is fun. This is fun. We're gonna be back talking a little bit more about Gavin Newsom next on the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Ooh, Gavin Newsom, this is quite embarrassing for you, my friend. Gavin Newsom. Now, I'm not much for hyperbole, like I said, but this is pretty epic. So, the California governor, Gavin Newsom, asked a Target employee why she didn't do anything about a shoplifter while he was there paying for some stuff. Gavin Newsom, he was out at this Target shopping, and this Target employee, she doesn't stop a shoplifter. And Gavin uh, Newsom, the governor of California, asked her, "Hey, why didn't you do anything about the shoplifter?" Not knowing who her customer was, so she didn't know what the governor looked like, and she didn't know it was Gavin Newsom. She said, "Well, it's because of the governor's policies." So then he asked to speak to a manager. So Newsom, he's on this Zoom forum and he's talking about this encounter he had at Target. And he says this quote, "We're having a conversation. Where's your manager? How are you blaming the governor?" And it was $380. And I was like, why am I spending $380? Everyone else can walk the hell right out. So he kind of unintentionally plays himself here. Like he is there's a lack of self-awareness here going on. Let's take a listen to the Zoom call where he describes this encounter with the Target employee. Here we go.
Says, "Sir, you dropped this." And he comes back, picks it up, and keeps walking out. As we're checking out, the woman says, "Oh, he's just walking out. He didn't pay for that." I said, "Well, why didn't you stop him?" She goes, "Oh, the governor." Swear to God, true story. And my mom's great. The governor lowered the threshold. There's no accountability. I said, "That's just not true." And I said, "We have the 10th toughest, $950, the 10th toughest in America." She doesn't even know what I was talking about. By the way, it's the 10th toughest in America. Look it up. No one gives a damn about that. And I said, "It's just not true. There's still stop." They said, "Well, we don't stop them because of the governor." And then she looks at me twice, and then she freaks out. She calls everyone over, wants to take photos. I'm like, "No, I'm not taking a photo. We're having a conversation. Where's your manager? How are you blaming the governor?" And it was, $380 later. And I was like, "Why am I spending $380? Everyone can walk the hell right out." Well, not fair. Not fair.
So I know that was kind of tough to hear, but wow, Gavin Newsom. Newsom, so he tried to brag there about California's Prop 47. Okay, so this is, according to him, it makes it a felony to steal more than $950 worth of merchandise. The clerk said no one cares about that. Now, this is per Newsom's version of the events. Okay, so I don't know what the clerk exactly said. Newsom is trying to make this woman look like an idiot, this clerk look like an idiot. Uh, I'm guessing people have started stealing $949 and under worth of merchandise because they know they won't get caught. Okay, they know they won't get caught. Yes, it makes it a felony to steal $950 worth of merchandise, but you're probably not even enforcing that law, the California Prop 47, and then that doesn't stop people from stealing anything under $950. Okay, so people can steal, deodorant. They can steal a lot of things for under $950. And I've looked through some things. San Francisco. I've narrowed it down to just San Francisco, not the entire state of California, but I've just looked at San Francisco. And the New York Post reports that Newsom was there shopping. That's where he was at this Target, where he confronts the clerk onto why she did not stop this shoplifter. And I'm looking at the numbers here. Only 3% of San Francisco restaurants have not been vandalized in the past month. There have been videos. It shows people stealing things. CNN was doing a report where they were shocked uh, by how many people stole while they were reporting on how crime infested this suckhole San Francisco is actually. Like CNN was doing a report there about how bad the crime is at this store, and they were shocked by it. Okay, CNN was shocked by how many people just walked out. Here we go. Here's an example. I'm going to share this with us. This is a CNN report on shoplifting in San Francisco. And while they're there reporting, they are just shocked by how much crime is going on in this store. Here we go. Let's take a listen.
into a San Francisco Walgreens when he saw in the frozen food section this.
Chains, heavy chains that went from padlock to padlock on both sides of the doors. And this was bizarre, something I'd never seen before. This is just more icing on the cake, telling us that rampant crime has become a regular part of life.
So typical that in the 30 minutes we were at this Walgreens, we watched 3 people, including this man, steal.
Did that guy pay? Did that guy pay? He didn't pay.
Walgreens says this Richmond neighborhood store with aisles of products like mustard locked behind plexiglass has the highest theft rate of all their nearly 9,000 U.S. stores, hit more than a dozen times a day. When thieves turned to cleaning out ice cream and frozen burritos, workers grew so frustrated they resorted to the chains. They were ordered down by corporate because of the negative messaging. But Walgreens isn't the only retailer impacted in San Francisco.
You have to ask an employee for help.
At this store, frozen food is controlled with a cable lock. Fake eyelashes locked behind plexiglass, along with lotion and nail polish. At another grocery store, $14 bags of coffee under lock and key.
What is this?
I don't know. I don't understand why coffee. I
Oh,
don't know,
here she is.
but
Oh.
it's become kind of like a police state in San Francisco.
So there's the report from CNN, right? I mean, there's so many examples of this. So, there's this guy, his name is Chef Andrew Gruel, and he owns a number of California restaurants. And he recently said that he would never open up another business in California. Why? He actually attributes it to California Proposition or Prop 47, this law where it's a felony to steal more than $950 worth of merchandise. But here's the thing, $950, people steal below that and then they don't get caught, and then there's no enforcement for stealing merchandise $349 or less worth of merchandise. So Newsom's Democrat Party, they're also working on passing a statewide law that would make it illegal for employees like this Target clerk to confront shoplifters. Okay, so the Democrat Party there in California, they're claiming with this law that they're trying to push currently, like this is factual, they're trying to currently push a law where it makes it illegal for employees to confront shoplifters. They claim that it's in the name of preventing workplace injury and violence and ensuring that employees have access to wellness resources. Okay, so all of this is basic progressive policies, and the Democrat Party not admitting that they're the problem. Okay, so this is all due to progressive policy, the rampant crime that's going on in San Francisco, people walking out with things. And here we have Karen Newsom actually admitting out loud that he wanted to speak to the manager. I want to speak to your manager. Because this Target employee said that she wasn't going to go stop the shoplifter because in California it doesn't really matter. The governor of California wanted to file a grievance against the part-time retail employee, a retail store employee, and Newsom shared this story thinking that this would make the employee look like the jerk. But really, I'm mad at the employee for not stopping the shoplifter. I'm impressed with Gavin Newsom's lack of self-awareness and how he doesn't understand how the internet works. I mean, this is incredible. Like, you're the reason why. So this was an epic, he played himself here, Gavin Newsom. I'm back next on the Morning Buzz. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble, and subscribe to my YouTube channel today, Cap Peterson 929. Hi, good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every morning. We've got a few things I got to get to in the 8 o'clock hour, and I'm excited because we've got to talk about this Christian vet charged with a hate crime for taking a patriotic stand and really a biblical stand against this satanic statue that was displayed in the Iowa Capitol. Now, the reason why I'm excited about that is because he is facing a felony third degree criminal mischief, and he's facing hate crimes and things like that. But truly, this story is a good story because he's raising all kinds of money, $84,000 so far for his legal defense fund that he set up on Give Send Go, and then TPUSA has pledged $10,000 to help him. So God is still working in this man, and I truly hope that he doesn't serve 5 years in prison because that's what he's looking at. But we're gonna get to that story. Plus, this below average high school male sprinter. He's a runner, and he turned himself into a female, and now he's crushing all of these college records. So he crushed 2 more college records, competing against girls. We got to talk about it here on the Morning Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Now, the left, they suddenly care about statues. Now, they're all about taking down statues, and they want to remove the statues. They want to rewrite history. But there's one statue that they just care about so deeply, and it shouldn't come as a surprise to us that the left cares about a satanic statue. So a Christian veteran, he's a veteran of this country, and he has been charged now with a hate crime for beheading a satanic statue at the Iowa State Capitol. Now, according to the Post Millennial, Michael Cassidy, he's been charged with a hate crime for beheading the statue of Satan. So it's quite literally a Satan statue that was erected up in the state capital of Iowa, and he took it down. Now he's going to be arraigned February 15th. Now, the Polk County prosecutors there, they charged Michael Cassidy with felony third degree criminal mischief, and they said that he acted in violation of individual rights under the Iowa hate crime statute. Now, Cassidy, he was charged originally when I brought this story to you here on the Buzz a few weeks ago in the beginning of the year. I told you about how he was charged with this misdemeanor. It was fourth degree criminal misdemeanor mischief, and that was the day after he had beheaded the satanic statue. Okay, so that was the day after. And they told him that he might have more charges, further charges, but that was what he was originally charged with. But now they've tacked on this hate crime. The spokesperson at the Polk County Attorney's Office, her name is Lynn Hicks. She says evidence shows that the defendant made statements to law enforcement and the public indicating he destroyed the property because of the victim's religion. This is what resulted in the hate crime charge. Okay, so all of a sudden, I guess Satan and Satanism, that's supposed to be a protective class. Makes sense. This progressive prosecutor is actually trying to establish that hating Satan is supposed to be a crime. See, this is one reason. This is just one reason why hate crimes they make no sense. They're completely illogical. You cannot criminalize hate. You know, I hate things like burnt coffee. I hate cold coffee. I hate olives. I hate the cold weather, right? So you can't criminalize hate because we're actually supposed to hate evil, right? The statue is evil, and we're supposed to hate evil. And here we are we're supposed to believe that it's a crime to hate this statue, and it shouldn't be a crime to hate that statue. You should be able to hate that statue. The premise of establishing hate crimes is evil. Okay, this whole idea that it is a crime to hate something and we're supposed to hate evil is ridiculous. But the Iowa Capitol, they had no right to put this abhorrent statue up on that public property in the first place. Okay, the taxpayers pay for that house, and there's no reason why. What happened to separation of church and state, right? Oh no, only separation of church and state when it comes to you teaching my kid about the Bible in public school. Okay. These people are painfully deranged, and Satan is everything opposite of God. Okay, so you cannot love Satan unless you love God or unless you hate God. So that's they by them putting up that statue, they say that they hate God, okay, because you can't love Satan, and obviously you love Satan because you put the statue up of him in the Iowa Capitol. That's you stating that you hate God. Well, is that a hate crime? Because you are violating my individual rights under Iowa State hate crime statute by expressing your love for Satan, thereby expressing your hate for God, and I feel like that is a hate crime. So, like, that's hating Satan isn't a crime. It shouldn't be a crime. And it's not surprising because we know Satan is the accuser of God's people. Then none of this is surprising. And we all know that, you know, had somebody put up a Christian statue and had a deranged leftist gone and beheaded a Christian statue, which if they did it, they wouldn't allow us to put up a Christian statue in the Iowa Capitol. But say they did, I think we all know how different this outcome would have been had it all been reversed, okay? Had some sort of deranged leftist come in and take down the statue, the Christian statue. Here's what Cassidy said. He goes, "My conscience is held captive to the word of God, not bureaucratic decree, and so I acted." And he's raised $84,000 for his legal defense on his Give, Send, Go. TPUSA, they pledged $10,000 to help him out. I got to take a quick break. We're back in the 8 o'clock hour. Next on the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9. morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Each and every morning, we are going to be back. I'm going to hit the Taylor Swift thing one more time, because I've got a clip of her talking about how George Soros bought all of her music. And, Soros is Biden's puppet master, okay? And Soros is a radical left wing thug, and he is probably making Swift support Biden. And I don't even realize. I don't even think she might not even realize that she is a cultural pawn. Okay, she probably is just doing this, and her team tells her to do it, and that's what she's supposed to do. Okay, because she has no rights to her music. She has no. She sold her soul, and now um she's trying to build up this following for George Soros. And that's what George Soros wants. And really, it's impactful because I think she's like, what is it? 1/5 of the. I mean, she brings out a lot of people to vote. If she says, "Hey, vote for Biden," that's going to be a lot of people who come out and vote for Biden. The Swifties will come out and vote for Biden. So um, I'm gonna play this clip. You guys are gonna be shocked by it. I'm back on the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9.
The music I wrote, the videos I created, photos of me, my hand. After I was denied the chance to purchase my music outright, my entire catalog was sold to Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings in a deal that I'm told was funded by the Soros family, 23 Capital, and the Carlyle Group. Yet, to this day, none of these investors have ever bothered to contact me or my team directly to perform their due diligence on their investment in me, to ask how I might feel about the new owner of my art, the music I wrote, the videos I created, photos of me, my hand. After I was denied the chance to purchase.
I wanted to share that bit of audio because that's Taylor Swift talking in 2019 about how George Soros bought all the rights to her, really to her fame, to her brand, to her music. She's a pawn. She was sold into really cultural slavery. Okay, so none of her decisions are her own. Okay, so George Soros bought her, and Travis Kelce was bought by Pfizer. And the pair, I don't believe they are actually together. Now, I don't know if this was all kind of planned. I don't think it was like a backroom deal where they were like, "Oh yeah, let's have Taylor and Travis, let's have them together, and let's kind of push out this fake relationship to get people distracted and to get people hyped up over celebrities and the NFL, and let's distract them from what's really going on behind the scenes during this 2024 election cycle." I don't think that's what happened. However, I don't think Taylor and Travis are very, very much aware with anything that they do, where they go, the people they talk to, who they see, and who are their friends. I don't think that they have much of a say over anything because this kind of money that George Soros and that Pfizer have, uh, it buys people. And they're both pawns. They're being paid to push a cultural narrative. And the NFL is fixed. State Farm, they gave billions of dollars to BLM, by the way. And State Farm also is the sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Travis Kelce, if you guys remember, he was one of the first white NFL players to kneel for the anthem in the BLM era. And, what they did, they awarded him after he, came out and he said, Western culture's bad. The West is bad. I'm going to kneel during the anthem. They rewarded him with a Pfizer contract in this whole Taylor Swift thing. I really do think that that's what happened. So when people are like, the people on the right, they're just, radicals, they're far right, and, they've come up with all of these crazy conspiracies. Is it though? Because you just heard Taylor and she was very upset. She was holding back tears in that video. about how George Soros bought all of her music and they did not consult her, her team, or anything. And they just wound up buying everything. And really, without even her consent, they bought her and she was sold into cultural slavery and she has to participate in the Soros culture. And she is a pawn. She's a pawn. So, had to play that for you. I do want to talk about this story. We've got a high school sprinter and he's breaking women's records. Gosh, he's so fierce, so brave, so beautiful. Okay, so this is Camden Schreiner is his name, and he was a floundering 19th place high school sprinter, and he needed a change, so he changed his gender. He now competes as a she, and he goes to college and he goes by Sadie Schreiner, and he's beautiful, he's brave, he's this athlete who's crushing all the female records at this Rochester Institute of Technology. So this fierce, brave, beautiful woman, right? This competitor, he just crushed two girls running records. And that was reported by the girls' sports activist Riley Gaines. She said this in a tweet: the thing that never happens just happened again. So the left, they'll claim that this never happens, that men don't beat women in these sports, these trans women, they'll call them trans women, don't beat women in women's sports. That's not true. Uh, it happened again. So this male, Sadie Camden Schreiner, broke two more women's collegiate records at Rochester Institute of Technology. Women's records don't mean anything if they're set by men. Okay, so if women don't start boycotting these things, this is never going to stop. So who cares about the donors? Who cares about the brand deals and the contracts? When these people who you get these brand deals from, they'll throw you under the bus. These are the same people who throw every female athlete under the bus the moment a guy comes along and says he's a woman, they'll give him all the brand deals and the sponsorships and everything like that. So what needs to start happening is that these female athletes need to just say, no, I'm not competing. I'm not doing it. And these trans men can just compete with each other then. Okay. So Reiner has been breaking records since December of 2023. The Rochester Institute of Technology was so excited that he broke all of these records that they posted about her on the Instagram page. Now, they had to take the comments off because the commentators made sure to, give her roses for her bravery and for beautiful her beautiful bravery. Right now, the commentators, they were upset. Okay, because normal people are upset by this kind of thing. So they shut the comments off. Libs of TikTok, they pointed this out. Camden, he only ranked 19th competing against boys. Okay, so he wasn't good as a male sprinter. Meet Camden. He's the male who just broke the 300-meter record at his college on the women's track team. He pretended to be a woman. He competed on a men's team in his high school where he ranked 19th place. Now, people have done the math on this. Had Sadie Camden been forced to compete with male runners, and believe me, folks, there's people in America who believe that if you were born a guy, that makes you a guy, and you should participate in male categories and in male sports. Okay, you should play sports against other guys. Okay, there's people in America who believe that, and a lot of people. But had Sadie been forced to compete against other male runners, he wouldn't have gotten first place. He would have gotten 41st place out of 42 runners. So, set aside the contentious debate for a second. Let's look at what has happened in 2023. You got to admit, girls who were born guys and now have decided to be girls have had a great 2023. You look at Soren Stark Chessa. Look up this guy. He ranked 172 as a male, being the fastest as a male, and now he's the fastest female in Maine. A female sophomore in Maine. He goes to college in Maine, and he was ranked 172. Now he's the fastest. Then you look at 50-year-old, this is disturbing, Melody Weishart. He's a man. He entered a contest for 13 and 14-year-old girls, and then he finished third place. That's bronze medal. And we're starting to see these dudes who are attempting to game the system without going through the trouble of being ladies. So they're not even taking hormones at this point. They're not even shaving their sideburns. They're not even going by female pronouns. Okay, so there's men who brag about their distracting penises, and they also crush girls' jaws and empty their teeth from their faces with a field hockey ball. And they brag about it and they're happy. They smile about it. So this is actually a story that came out of 2023. His name is Derek. He's a Massachusetts teen boy, and he was on a high school volleyball team. And he made a very inappropriate comment to an opposing female player after the volleyball game. And he says, "What? Did my penis distract you?" Like, that's what this teen boy said to the girl, the female opponent. Uh, Opposing team fans booed the male team captain because he just kept spiking the ball. I mean, the net is lower for females, because we're shorter. Um, and he just kept spiking the ball in their faces because the net was so low for this guy. He was much taller than the rest of the girls on his team and on the opposing team. So there was another instance where we had a high school athlete knock the teeth out of a high school field hockey player. She had her teeth knocked out because the male player on the other team shot the ball in her face. He was going for a goal, but he shot the ball in her face. And you can see the guy smiling. Now, this girl immediately drops to the ground. She starts crying. Her teeth are out of her face. And you can audibly hear the impact, like smack. You can hear the ball hit her face. And this male player who knocked her teeth out, he smiles. He's caught smiling, and he's allowed to play on female teams because in Massachusetts there's something called the Equal Play Act. Something needs to be done about this because the guy who knocked the girl's teeth out, he doesn't even have he has sideburns. Like, he couldn't even go through the trouble of shaving his sideburns off, and like they go by male pronouns. So the guy that said, "Is my penis distracting you?" That guy, he goes by male pronouns. He doesn't have a name change or anything. So something needs to be done. This is the Morning Buzz. Coming up, we are going to be talking about an Illinois state lawmaker. Now, I don't think that this bill is going anywhere because he came out and he told the ISA, that's the Illinois Sheriff's Association, that he's not going to vote on this bill in this session. Now, I don't know if it's going to come back, but we'll have to see. Justin Slaughter, the Democrat, he introduced a bill that would stop police from stopping cars, would prevent police from stopping cars that violate certain traffic violations, including speeding, excessive window tint, um, defective mirrors, improper lane usage, all kinds of things like that. So we're going to come back chatting a little bit about that story. You're listening to Cities 92.9 on Cities 92.9, and you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kat Peterson 99. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every morning. You can go ahead, smash that like button. We're back in just a couple of minutes, and we will be chatting about this Illinois lawmaker. And then a little bit later, we'll talk about Vox and how they are saying that Americans are oddly obsessed with protein and that we should cut back on our protein intake in the name of climate change. That's hilarious. We'll also talk about how the left is targeting board games now because they're racist. More on that in a bit. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. Woohoo! Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. You can always text me at 309-451-9299. And we've got some deals for you to steal on cities929.com. Steals and deals. So I'm so excited to tell you about steals and deals. We've got a few things that are on there right now. One thing is the Crave hot dogs and barbecue on Oakland Avenue in Bloomington. They're right across from State Farm. You can pick up a $20 gift card for just $10. Right now at our Steals and Deals site, it's just cities929.com. There's this big logo. It says Steals and Deals. Click on that, and then you can get your $20 gift card for just 10 bucks. You can get a chili cheese dog there. They're so good. If you want their complete menu, go to iwantcrave.com. iwantcrave.com. There's also this self pour wall where you can wash down your hot dog with a beer. So check that out. Rob Jersey Cheese, $25 gift card for half price. Rob Jersey Cheese and normal. They have locally sourced cheese flavors, block curds. It's so good. So important to support local farms and to know where your food is coming from. Before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about an Illinois state lawmaker. So he introduced some legislation that would stop cops from pulling people over for violating certain traffic violations or violating certain traffic laws. So Justin Slaughter, he's a Democrat from Chicago, and if this bill would have been passed, police would not have been able to pull drivers over for failing to display things like license plates, registration stickers, improper lane usage, defective mirrors, bumpers, windshield wipers, excessive window tint, also excessive exhaust or speeding 25 miles over the speed limit. And people are like, yeah, cat, I'm a libertarian. I'm totally against speeding laws and I'm totally against seatbelt laws. Well, being somebody that has been in a car wreck, I'm gonna say this: going over 70 miles per hour will kill you if you get into a wreck. Okay, or your chances of being killed in a wreck going over 70 miles an hour increases. Okay. So lawlessness, like to those people, I say, okay, you want people running around naked? Like at that point, you just want no laws at all. Like you're insane. Laws, they're there for reasons. And, we need to have less of them. Yeah, sure. I agree with that. I don't think that there should be a lot of laws out there, but um, wearing a seatbelt and or speeding, definitely speeding. Those are laws that are just there to protect the citizenry, right? And that laws are we can't have lawlessness, right? Are you for no laws? But anyway, so at that point, this is the bill that they might as well just get rid of traffic laws entirely at that point, right? If this bill would have became law and if it would have passed, but it's long story short, it's not going to go anywhere right now anyway. So Slaughter did not immediately respond to a request for comment to CBS 2, but he did tell Capital Facts, this blog, that he doesn't plan to move forward on the bill. Instead, he wants to have a conversation about racial disparities in traffic stops. Oh, and there it is. Look, folks, you're going 95 miles an hour. There is no way that cop can tell what race you are. There is no way, if you've got window tint all the way down your front mirror, there is no way that a cop can tell what race you are. And even if they pulled you over for going 95, or if your window tint is all the way down your front shield, it doesn't matter. You're breaking the law. Okay. They're not doing it because you're black. They're doing it because you broke the law. Had you not sped at 95 miles an hour, or had you not had window tint all the way down your front shield, then you probably wouldn't have gotten pulled over. Okay. So, like, these are provable things. They've got things like speedometers, they've got the car for evidence, they've got the plates, they've got, body cam footage for evidence that you've broken the law. So they're not going to pull you over if you're not breaking the law. Okay. So, yeah, anyway, so any future discussions of this bill, I don't know if he hasn't rescinded it, Justin Slaughter, but he did contact the Illinois Sheriff's Association, the executive director, yesterday morning to say that he's not moving forward with the bill. The bill was significantly broader than he intended, according to the ISA, the Illinois Sheriff's Association, but nonetheless, he's not moving forward with the bill this year. That's key. He did want to highlight that we are the reason why he's not calling the bill, the ISA. So we're going to be a part of any kind of conversations about this in the future. This is what the ISA says, the Illinois Sheriff's Association. He took ownership of the issue and he apologized for how the process was laid out. So my big question is here, who is writing your bills, man? And why are they significantly broader than what you've intended? Why do they have the freedom to apparently just add whatever they want? Did you look over the bill before? I mean, and his constituents need to make note. Hey, this guy doesn't even look over his bills. He just puts anything out there. And this was a problem. This was in the news last week, this bill. In the news last week. Why didn't he come out last week and talk about how he wasn't going to move forward with the bill? He waited until the news really picked up and the phone calls started going to his office. He waited because he was going to let this thing go through. Okay, so yeah, I'm glad that it's not moving forward, but we should still keep an eye on it because I don't think he's rescinded it. All right, I do have to take a quick break. Leftist Vox, this so-called news outlet, they're claiming that Americans eat too much protein and that we need to stop our protein intake because, you guessed it, climate change. That's next in the Morning Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. And you can always share the content out with your normie friends. I'm back next. left. So go check it out on our website. That's cities99.com. Steals and Deals. This is a 12-month peak results membership. So this is like VIP membership. This is as high as you possibly go. I think it includes tanning and all of the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, so it's Crunch Fitness. It's the 12-month peak results membership. Now this originally goes for $380. You're gonna get it today for $189.50 if you go to Steals and Deals right now and get your deal. Get your deal. Inflation busters. These Steals and Deals, they're great. So check it out on cities99.com. Before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about how the left, they are claiming that Americans are oddly obsessed with protein. I love protein. I do the protein powder. I do the protein ice cream. I do meat. I do eggs. I do all of it. And they say that you should cut back on it because you guessed it, climate change. Yes. So we're going to talk about it. Plus, the left, they're so miserable and they need company. Okay. The misery loves company. And now they want to destroy everything that people love. Zins. Now they want to get rid of board games because it brings people together, brings families together, and they don't like that. But they're saying that they hate board games now because it is colonialism and they have colonization narratives in them. So we're going to talk about that here too on the Buzz. So let's start here with the writer. His name is Kenny. Kenny from Vox. Oh, Kenny. So he is a writer who focuses on the future of meat. Yes, this guy gets paid to rip on meat and to say that meat is bad for humans. Yeah, I don't know. But he says Americans are oddly obsessed with meat and with protein. And even if that's true, we're supposed to believe that that's a bad thing. Okay, so according to Vox, they say Americans are oddly obsessed with protein, consuming twice the daily amount recommended by federal dietary guidelines. Public health authorities design these recommendations with plenty of slack, meaning that they're higher than what most people actually need to ensure that they don't become protein deficient. But despite exceeding the recommended intake, um, the 60% of US adults are trying to get even more of it into their diets. So this is what he says. He says food companies have taken notice, adding more protein to everything, as I have noticed. And I'm totally here for it because you got to get your protein in, right? So you've got ice cream, crackers, pasta, chips, everything over the last decade. They add protein. Now, this obsession could be making us sick, claims Kenny from Vox. And he says excessive protein consumption, especially from cholesterol rich animal based foods. So he wants me to have the vegan protein. Okay. Is correlated with increased risk of cancer and heart disease. So, heart disease. If so many Americans are obsessed with protein, okay, how can it be odd? He says they're oddly obsessed with protein. How can it be odd? Because to me, if so many Americans are obsessed with it, then it's not really odd. Then it's just the norm, right? What's odd is the point of this article. So the writer goes on and he says that meat causes cancer. And then that's when I really start to understand that Kenny is a fool. Kenny from Vox is a fool. And when people go to great lengths like this and they use this hyperbole like meat is going to kill you, that's where I start to check out. And I'm like, you're probably on the side of the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization where they want you to eat a bunch of crickets. Okay. So, yeah. And he tries to claim that meat causes cancer. Vegetarians and vegans, they get cancer too. So you can't say that meat's the reason why people are getting cancer and heart disease. Um, and then he goes on in the article. This is interesting. It's a problem for most Americans, especially men. One small informal study in the UK even found that some men who wanted to reduce their meat consumption were embarrassed to order vegetarian meals among their male friends. First of all, yeah, you should be embarrassed if you want to go vegetarian, if you're trying to go vegetarian. But second of all, some men, I love it. They're like a small informal study. Okay, it's small, it's informal. Some men, like, are you talking about two guys in the UK that are uncomfortable ordering a vegetarian meal while they're out? Like, what? But this writer, he goes on and he says, climate change, the cows, if we have too many cows, the sun's going to blow up and all of that nonsense. And he's trying to claim that Americans are not getting enough fiber, and we should be replacing all of this protein, all of the meat, with plants to get fiber. Okay. So, ironically, unlike meat, fiber decreases your risk of disease, according to this asinine reporter. He says fiber actually decreases your risk of getting heart disease or cancer or things like that. Why why believe these experts when they change their minds and they get things wrong all of the time? Okay. And I don't know how many times they've changed this food pyramid. You get it. I think way back they used to say that you should eat like 6 grains or 6 servings of grains a day. And that I remember when they told us to do that. What a total joke. And then subsequently, after they said, hey, eat 6 servings of grains a day, everybody got diabetes. Okay. Diabetes skyrocketed like crazy. So weird how, for almost all of human history, all people did was really eat meat. They rarely ate vegetables. They hardly consumed vegetables, but our produce intake, our vegetables, our fruits, and things like that have increased uh, in recent history, like in modern times. Yet Americans are getting sicker than they were. Than they were. Are we sure meat is to blame here? I'm just asking. Are we sure meat is to blame? Because with the track record of these bureaucratic experts, I would be surprised if you're better off doing I wouldn't be surprised if you were just better off doing the exact opposite of what these bureaucratic experts tell you to do, what they demand of us. Okay, so nearly 90% of vegetarians go back to eating meat. I say this as a former vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for 2 years and I went back to eating meat and feel much better. And I can guarantee you, this radio host, Kat Peterson, I'm going to be eating a burger here as soon as possible. Me eating a burger shortly is extremely high. So the real problem in America, I think, is that we're not getting enough protein. We should be getting all kinds of protein. But like I said, not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but and the way I try to do it, I just try to do everything the exact opposite of what these bureaucrat experts say, because these bureaucrat experts, they change their mind so damn often. So I do want to shift gears. I want to talk about Catan. Yes, out of all things. So people on the left, like I said, they're miserable and they want you to be miserable because misery loves company. And now they're hating on board games, the left. So here it is. It's a leftist piece out of the conversation. And they're saying Klaus Tuber, he's the guy who created the board game Catan. He recently died. And now it's kind of sparked up this, board games are bad. Board games are racist. So Klaus recalled in an interview about how he began to percolate this idea of Catan back in 1963 when he was an 11-year-old in post-war Germany. Okay, so according to Klaus, Catan was inspired by tales of Viking exploration, and it places the players together on a remote island where they have to competitively collect and cultivate territory through resource extraction, trade, and expansion by building roads and settlements and things like that. So if you've played Catan, you get what I'm saying here. And in interviews, Klaus, he said that he started creating games in the 1980s to help deal with the stress of his dental career. And he says, quote, I developed games to escape. And then he says, this was my own world I created. Okay, so he wasn't. It's his own world, and he created this within his imagination. Back in 1963, he saw things as an 11-year-old in post-war Germany. Okay, so the game used to be called Settlers of Catan. Now the game was renamed in 2015 to just Catan. And here's what the leftist article says. It says, Catan wasn't really Klaus's own world. It was a playable version of the American dream. Okay, now the article goes on. It says, ultimately, through a set of game mechanics that motivates resource extraction in the name of settling a supposed empty land, the connection between the in-game narrative and the political histories of North America and other parts of the world is clear. A historian Lorenzo Vercini, says that the Settlers of Catan is really about settler colonialism. Oh, board games are racist now, Mr. Historian. No, Settlers of Catan is not about settler colonialism. And even if it was, who really cares? Because it's just a game. Okay. And I don't know how many times I've got to ask this, but please, can I get a list of things that aren't racist? Because I feel like it'd be much easier at this point to just get a little list of something that of everything that is not racist. Because everything's racist. Coffee, birds, everything is racist to the left. So uh, the first time this is not the first time that the left has claimed that board games are that promote colonialism or are racist. Back in 2023, back in July, this is an article from Campus Reform. They said that the Massachusetts Institute of Technology recommended a summer reading list. Okay, well, what's on the reading list, Ken? Summer reading list for the college students. Subjects like imperialism in board games, neoliberalism, queer black womanhood, and climate change. So, according to that list, I guess chess enforces social structures. Yes. Okay. Um, what does that even mean? I love chess for the record. And social structures. I bet so liberals they don't like to lose with grace. And Hillary Clinton, 2016, right? She claims that the election's stolen. They don't like to lose with grace. Chess teaches you to lose with grace, and that's why I love chess. You have to put down your king when you're done. And, you know, I think that I think that the left really just hates everything that doesn't cause division. So you get together, you play a game of chess with somebody, um, and not only that, they wanted pe want they want to vilify Western culture. That's what this really is. They wanna vilify it, and look, the left is so painfully stupid. You can't get me to believe that inanimate objects are evil. Okay? It's an inanimate object, and, you can't get me to believe that this is evil, the game of Catan. And yeah, I don't know how these people function. I don't know. You don't get much more stupid than that. I mean, even momentarily think that these games might turn somebody into a colonizer is asinine. And I can't comprehend how these people remember to breathe oxygen in the morning. But the scariest part about all of this is that the same people who say that Catan is racist, they're the same people who go out and vote. I do have to take a break. You're listening to the Morning Buzz on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back.
Tax and Accounting Plus. Focus on growth.
Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I think this is so funny. We've got James Carville. Ugh. He sure has a lot to say about sex for a guy who works with everybody on Epstein's list. He talks about the right wing media figures, how they target Taylor Swift with these absurd conspiracy theories ahead of the Super Bowl. Are they really that absurd? I don't think so. Um, James Carville's record, he helped get Al Gore in there, Hillary Clinton. He hasn't won a thing really in 30 years, and um, he lost Al Gore 2000, Kerry 2004, Hillary in 2008, and then in 2016 Hillary again. This guy is a loser. So nothing he says really should be taken at value. The sun is out today. I'm very excited about that. People keep texting me the pictures of the sun. So, yes, the sun is out. We haven't seen it in a long time, and I'm glad about that. Go ahead, smash that like button. We're back now. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. And it's sunny outside. Isn't it gorgeous? That sunrise was just so beautiful out there. And yeah, we haven't seen the sun in a few days here in the state of Illinois. Good morning. Send me a picture of your sunrise if you took a picture of the sunrise this morning. I've gotten a lot of photos of the sunrise. So I'm excited to go out and go check it out. I haven't seen it yet. So I haven't seen the sun yet. And that's so funny. We're Midwestern. Tell me you're a Midwesterner without telling me you're a Midwesterner. Sending pictures of the sunrise or the sunset because you're obsessed with the sun because you don't get to see it that often. Now, this came across the desk this morning. Post millennial, they've got it. They've got the story here where Donald Trump, this E. Jean Carroll woman who gets this $83 million, don't even get me started on it, but she was seen partying with all of these media elites after this $83 million award in the Trump defamation case. I don't know how you score $83 million in a defamation case when Trump, what, because he said that you were ugly? He goes, oh, I didn't sleep with that woman because she's ugly, right? And then they have no proof of this alleged rape or was sexual misconduct conducted by Trump at all. Like none. That's what, the criminal case. She tried to go after him criminally, and they were like, lady, there's not even proof that you know the guy. But then she turns around and she does this defamation case and she gets this $83 million essentially because Trump called her ugly. And that was the reason why he would have never slept with her. So Carol, she toasted E. Jean Carroll. She toasted to her liberal friends in the media at this flower shop bar in New York. Yes, in New York. And she seemed delighted and vindicated. She was in awe and victorious, one guest reported, according to the Daily Mail. Carol has pledged to spend the money in the case on whatever Donald Trump hates. This is what she told Rachel Maddow in an interview, and that she was going to go buy herself a new wardrobe and buy a penthouse and with this $83 million. And this is just a disturbing thing that can happen to somebody just because you call somebody ugly. You can sue them for a whopping $83 million. And then you can turn around and use that $83 million on a new wardrobe. And, she's not going to use it for that. Tell me you're a liar without telling me you're a liar, E. Jean Carroll. Okay. And she said, quote, she would absolutely sue Donald Trump again. Isn't that wild? All right, folks. That's going to do it for the end of the show. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Up next after me, it's Glenn Beck, Dan Bongino, and Sean Hannity.